All right. For everybody early logging on, I super appreciate it. That really helps us out with our bandwidth. Super excited. We still got about 10 minutes, so hang on the line with us and wrap up what you got to do. We're going to get going here at 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm super stoked about this because this is the first time I've done a lot of webinars, right? I've done well over 100 over the past few years. First time we're ever doing this one. And so I'm super excited. Feel free to use the chat bar. Hello to everybody chatting to me. Yes, feel free to use the chat bar. It is private. I found out there's a bandwidth thing if we put it public, and I want everybody's connection to be good. So use the chat bar. Feel free to type in there. I'm going to be obviously before and during the webinar asking questions. Type your answers in there. I see everything on there. So just because you might not see it or see everybody's response, I'm seeing it all. And really, it's just a bandwidth thing. I want to make sure everybody's good. That being said, everybody early that is logging on, unfortunately, you're going to hear this speech a couple more times, but make sure you don't have a ton of stuff running in the background, right? Because this takes up a lot of space on your computer. So, you got Facebook, shut that down. Anything that's constantly running, data internet-wise, run that down. And then we're going to get rolling here very shortly. And as you see there, please note if any issues come up, audio, visual, a lot of the times hitting reconnect will fix that. And also it works best in Chrome or Firefox. So for the few that are on right now, just so I make sure everything's good, it says it's good on my end. If you can at least hear this little ramble I'm doing, just type in real quick, yes, Joe, I can hear you. That way I know everybody can hear me. Like I said, if you're on right now, you're going to hear this speech a couple more times, but sit tight. We're going to roll 2 p.m. Eastern time on some really awesome stuff. Going to hopefully teach you some cool things and get you going on building your own business, coaching insurance agents. So hang tight, guys. Thanks. All right, we're going to get rolling here in just a few minutes. Got more people logging on. Super appreciate it. Some tech stuff right before we get going, just so I make sure that my mic's working okay. If anybody out there right now that's listening, if you could use your chat bar, let me know you can hear me okay. And that way I know my tech's good on my side. It says we're good. I just want to make sure, everybody can hear me. So we'll get going here super shortly. I'm building a business, coaching insurance agents. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat bar, and we'll get rolling soon. and I go ahead and I mute the mic so it sounds like it cuts out, but the presentation's fine. So yes, awesome. Thank you everybody that said they can hear me. If you're just logging on, I always like to make sure the audio is good. So if you're just logging on, you haven't typed in yet that, yeah, you can hear me okay, please do that. And we'll get rolling here just about 5 minutes. Awesome. All right, few minutes before we get rolling, and now is the time everybody comes in. So welcome everybody. Super excited about this. First time we're ever doing a webinar like this. Some things I like to do beforehand, just, I don't know, my own curiosity's sake, is if you can just let me know what city and state you are listening in from, joining us from. I always like to see how far out our reach is. Last webinar, it was a lot bigger because this one was only limited to 50 registrants, as you guys know. Last webinar, we actually had, I think, 46 states represented. Which was pretty awesome. This one, obviously not expecting that because it's a more tight-knit, close group. But if you could let me know what city and state you are joining us from, always enjoy hearing that, and we will get going very shortly. All right, let me read off some of these. So New York, that's me, obviously. Pennsylvania, we got a couple from Maryland. Been down to Maryland a few times, more the Salisbury area. But down to Maryland, we got Atlanta, GA. Awesome. Love Atlanta. Texas, we always have reps from Texas joining us. So nice diverse group here. Like I said, it's a much smaller webinar than we're used to. So feel fortunate. You were one of the 50 that signed up and got in here. And we got a couple more minutes and we're going to get rolling with the Building a Business Coaching Insurance Agents webinar. First time ever we have done this webinar. So really excited about it. We got a Tennessee that just came in. Thank you, Lamar. Tennessee, awesome. Tennessee is one of those states I don't get a lot from, which is very interesting. I'm in New York. For some reason, I have a huge following in Texas. Not sure how that happened. I have no Texas roots. But Tennessee, that's awesome. Don't have a lot of Tennessee. Really cool. So we are going to get going here in just a couple of minutes. All right, before we get rolling, one last audio check. If you can still hear me okay, just type in, yes, Joe, I can hear you. We did this check a little bit ago and it was fine, but want to make sure. Somebody said they couldn't hear me. Not sure if it was my end or their end. So let me know you can hear me okay, and we're going to get rolling here in just a minute. All right, awesome. A lot of people, everybody's saying they can hear me. Good. All right, and everybody, it's 2:00 on the dot, and I know that. Everybody now is rolling in, so give us just like another 90 seconds, and then we're going to start rolling with this bad boy, just so I can get everybody in. While we're waiting, I do have a question for those on the line right now. When it comes, I'm going to type it in here too. So when it comes to possibly being a coach for agents, what's your interest level? 1 being, somewhat, not really. We'll just kind of check it out. Or 5, definitely this is something I want to do. So I'm going to put in here 1 to 5. What is your interest level? I'm just curious. I want to, because like I said, we've never done this type of webinar, right? I've never done one like this. Never seen one like this for insurance specifically, so I've never seen one like this specifically for insurance agents. So just kind of gauging, right? Kind of gauging. There's some here just to maybe check it out, or some there to say, you know what, this is something I definitely want to do, or we're not sure yet, right? That 2 to 4 range, that's fine. And I'll read some answers out as everybody's coming in. If you're just joining us, the only thing I just asked is when it comes to possibly being a coach for agents, what's your interest level? 1 to 5. 1 being, not much at all. I'm just kind of here to spend some time. Or 5, yes, I am super interested. All right, we got a lot of 5s. Wow. Okay. Awesome. 3 to 4. All right. I like it. All right. Nobody's 1 or 2 yet, and that's okay if you are. Don't feel shy about typing it if you are. Okay. But a lot of 5s. That's exciting. All right. Well, it is 2:01. I want to be super respectful of your time. So we are going to get rolling. As people come in, they will join us, and that's fine. They'll catch up. I like to think I don't go too fast. And it sounds like that the audio is working okay. So we are going to get started on building a business coaching insurance agents, and super excited. And for those of you that joined me, right when we opened the room 10 minutes ago, you've heard this about 4 times already, but this is the first time we're doing this. All right. So I'm super stoked about it, super excited about it. And I'm going to show you why I'm excited and why I'm passionate about this subject that I've been kind of holding out on for about 3 years now. So we'll go through all that here today. All right. So let's get going. Basically, what we're going to learn is how we're going to turn your expertise into a 6 or 7 figure coaching business. And the goal is to do this without having to spend years of trial and error just to figure out the formula. Because here's the dirty little secret about coaching. All right. It's not rocket science. It really isn't. You don't have to be the smartest in the room. We're going to talk a lot about that today. You don't have to have the most years experience. We're going to talk about that in a minute. The reality is people make it seem harder than it is. All right. I'm not saying just everybody can do it, but if you're focused, you can do it. All right. My goal today is to not just, maybe show you how to do a couple of things or tell you a couple of ideas. My goal is to show you the implementation, right? Want people to know this is what you do. Step 1, step 2, step 3. This is how you stand out. This is how you make it work. All right. A lot of stuff, webinars out there, they kind of go real high level and just, give you pretty generic stuff. I want to be specific today. All right. And my goal too is to understand that this is a different webinar for a lot of you. And I know a lot of the registrants on here have been on webinars of mine in the past. This one is different because it's not for everybody, right? It's not. That's why I made it only a 50-person registration, because not everybody wants to do this, and that's okay, right? It's not for everybody. Some people are happy just being agents. That's what they want to do. They want to retire as agents, and that's fine. And if that's you, that's okay too. But there is another world out there. And if you do stay until the end of this webinar, I promise I'm not going to try to be over an hour or anything like that. But if you promise to stay to the end, hit commit, type in commit, because what I'm going to show you is something we've never presented before. And that's why I wanted this small. I didn't want this being seen by 200 people. All right. Because it doesn't fit everybody. I made this a very specific webinar. So if you're committed to the end, just simply type commit in the chat bar. That way I know we're all on board. Now, for those of you that don't know me, that's me. All right. I started in the insurance industry when I was only 21 years old. The biggest thing I'm known for, at least, is I really was able to transition digital marketing into insurance agency lives, right? Into our business, our niche. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. Okay. And I've done a lot of things for a lot of places in a very short amount of time. And you're going to see how short. I started this business this coaching side of things in October of 2015, right? So we're not even 3 years yet, okay? But the reality is I have done things for Insurance Agency Summit as a speaker and a trainer. Anybody familiar with Dan Kennedy or GKIC? I was actually, and I was told this after the fact, I was the youngest featured Gold Call CD speaker for GKIC. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that. The Gold Call sent around the world. It's on a CD. They plug it. That was last year. I was the youngest ever. That was a very exciting thing. ContractCoach.com, which is just for insurance agents. I'm a trainer and speaker for them. Also was the featured cover article for Allstate agents out there, the exclusive focus magazine for Allstate. And I don't have it on here, but I just wrapped it up last week. I was actually on the Shark Tank Sharkpreneur podcast. It has not been released yet, so I don't put it out there, but it's getting released, I believe, next week. So you can hear me on there. So if you don't know me, that's just a short snippet about me. All right. And I did all of this, got into all this because I was in insurance, started in call center when I was 21 years old for AIG Insurance, servicing auto policies. I took the job because it was paying $12 an hour. Right? Because back then, $12 an hour, you're rich. Okay, so that's me. That's my two kids, Becca and Zachary. And that's just a few of the things we've done. Today, as I already mentioned, I'm here to show you how you can quickly, but more importantly, effectively start a coaching business that generates 5 figures monthly. Once again, if you have audio or visual issues, please hit reconnect. And I'm putting this out here because I get messages from people from time to time. They lost both audio and video. All right. Anyway, so that's really what I want to do because it is possible. And I'm here to show you it's possible. All right. This is what I like to call my picture that's worth 52,000 words. And I'm not doing this to brag, right? I'm actually doing this just to show you it happens. So I launched my first ever coach training product for insurance agents on October 19th. And by December 1st, I had grossed $52,000. All right. And you're going to see definitely the biggest reasons why that happened. But you're also going to see I'm just a normal guy. I really am. I was nothing special. I didn't have a bunch of startup money. In fact, I didn't spend any money in advertising when I did this. I had a little bit of an email list. I did some social media stuff. I did not spend a penny on paid advertising at all. Okay. Now, how do some people earn 7 figures a year in coaching while others struggle to pay bills each and every single month? And, you know, the reality is there's really 3 secrets in my mind. And we're going to go through each of these today. All right. So secret number 1, we're going to see if you're the right person for the job. All right. Number 2 is probably the biggest thing that helped me, is building trust by polarization or transparency. And then 3 is content, or more content, right? That's what you need to do. And we're going to talk a lot about content, why that's important. You guys probably know why it's important, but we really are going to hammer it down today. All right. So let's jump into it. So what is that difference between the coaches and consultants that sell 6 to 7 plus figures and the ones that don't sell a lot? Well, in my mind, it's a pretty simple success formula. And I want you to now pay attention. After you've learned this, pay attention to what you're seeing online, social media, your emails, everybody being a coach. Here's what I've learned pretty simply. If you're somebody that's a coach and you're trying to be an expert in a certain industry, you're going to fail. All right. That's not how I think things should be done. But if you're an expert in a certain industry and you want to learn to be a coach, you have success. The best ones out there, right? I don't care if it's insurance, real estate, car sales. They did the job before they taught the job. All right. So many people. And when I say coach on that first one, coach, learning to be an expert, you can replace coach with internet marketer, right? Because that's what a lot of internet marketing companies do. A lot of internet companies, internet marketing guys will go ahead and say, all right, I'm just an internet marketer, but I want to learn to be an expert in this. All right. And that doesn't work. My opinion, and I will always stick to this, is you should be an expert in an area first and then coach it. I have never once tried to coach real estate. I have never once tried to coach car sales. I have never left my niche of insurance. Never once. Okay. So that's a pretty simple success formula. If you know something already, all right, and by know it, I don't mean you have to have been doing it for 10 years. but just know it, right? Don't all of a sudden, like tomorrow, I've never sold a house in my life. I'm not going to go out and become a real estate coach. It's just not going to happen. That doesn't work. So that's a pretty simple success formula. You stick to that. All right. And now that goes outside of insurance. A lot of us have other things, hobbies, businesses, right? It translates just the same. But don't ever try to be a coach learning to be an expert. Always try to be that expert and then become a coach. All right, so let's talk about number one. Are you the right person for the job? There's that word again, expert, right? Are you the right person? Well, I don't know. Let's find out if you are. So I want to start with this question. And go ahead and please, this is something I want to chat back and forth. If you have an addict, right, somebody that's in rehab, or even go to like an AA or an NA program, you know, if somebody's an addict, what's the best way for them to get help with their disease? Who should they talk to? Who is the best person to help an addict through an issue? I'll give it a second. Go ahead and chat in the chat bar. Let me know. Who is the best type of person to help an addict? I don't care if it's drugs, alcohol, whatever. Who is okay, a lot of you are getting the answer. Yes. The best person to help an addict is another addict, right? Because they know the struggles. They know what they're going through. They can help. They'll listen. The same theory applies to coaching in any industry. If I'm an insurance agent, all right, I'm going to listen to somebody that's been through the wars before. You know, why should I listen? You know, that's why the success rate of an AA program is so much higher than rehab. A lot of the times in rehab, not all the time, but a lot, you got licensed therapists who may or may not have been an addict. All right. But the success rate of AA or NA is much higher because you have everybody there is on the same playing field. Okay. The other thing you got to realize, you don't have to be number one. And this, I go back to one of my favorite movies and a great book, Catch Me If You Can. The movie you'll probably be more familiar with Leonardo DiCaprio. But there's actually a part in the book they never put in the movie, and I think it's the best part. And it applies to what we're talking about. Frank Abagnale, the actual main character, it's a true story, went through his life, you know, if you don't know the story real quick, went through different jobs, pretending to be somebody he wasn't, yada, yada. So anyway, at one point, he was a Harvard professor. And they asked him, he did that for a couple of years. And they asked him, you never went to college. How did you teach a bunch of people that got into Harvard? And all he simply said was, I didn't have to know more than all of them. I just had to read the book and be a chapter ahead. All right. So you don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to know everything, right? You just have to be a little bit ahead. And now think about your past experience, insurance and in life. Have you ever learned anything that's valuable enough for somebody else? Even the things that you might take for granted can be super valuable to somebody else. And then the last thing, and I find this very important, and there's a few of you on here that know this already because you've worked with me in the past. Do you really care about other success? Because you have to. You're not going to be a successful coach for anybody if you truly don't care about other success. All right. Now, let me ask you this. Now, do you think out of any of these, do you have something valuable you can teach other people that you think will help them? Do you really care about other success? If you can answer yes to those, then yeah, you are the right person for the job. You're the right person to be a coach. You're the right accountability partner for somebody. All right. So don't doubt yourself if you haven't been doing this for 20 years. Or, you know what? Don't even doubt yourself if you're not number one in your market as an insurance agent. That does not mean you don't have something to share with somebody else. Okay. Now, I hyped this one up when we started because this is maybe what set me apart. All right. So I don't know if I helped that. I don't know if it's because of me. I have no idea if it had anything to do with it, you know, or maybe it was timing. But when I say polarization, all right, think of a magnet. You're one end or the other. The whole point to polarization is to really be for somebody or a group specifically. Dan Kennedy always said, if you're not for anyone, then you're for no one. And the point to that is that you have to let your personality show through. You can't be scared to do that. People are always afraid. They want to stay in the middle with what they say or what they do because they want to attract everybody. When the reality is, That's an ineffective business strategy, especially in any business, especially coaching, right? Because I'm here to tell you, if you let your true self shine through, if you're transparent, if you're honest with somebody, they're going to be much more trusting of you, and they're going to be buyers again and again and again, right? A lot of my early stuff when I first launched was, hey, I'm going to be honest with you guys right now. It's a small group today. All right. I was in rehab. I was very, very honest about that. Okay. I was very, very honest about that. And that made me stand apart, right? That set myself apart. And so you have to be honest about it and be you. Show your personality, show some emotions, let people know to a point what's going on in your life, right? You have to not be afraid to do that. This is the number one thing that set me apart. And once again, being polarizing. Let's go through some numbers. And this is where polarization comes in. All right. So would you rather have 100 people close at 5% or 25 people at 50% on a $200 sale? Okay. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple if you do the numbers on that. On a $200 sale, if you have 100 people and they close at 5%, you're making $1,000. If you have 25 people closing at 50%, you're making $2,400. The reason I know those numbers are super simple. The reason I bring it up though, is that if, that's great if you try to be for just a ton of people that are like somewhat interested in you. Yeah, sure. I'll check them out. I'll kick the tires around, but your closing's not going to be there. Right. But if you have a solid group, right? If you go coaches around the world, I do not have a huge email list. I got a big one, 50,000. Right. But there's coaches that have 1 million. Right. But it's 1 million tire kickers. Whereas a lot of my group, they're close. They trust me. Right. Because I'm transparent. All right. So that is the biggest thing is transparency. That builds trust. Out of anything we talk about today, everybody, being a coach, a consultant, whatever you want to call it, in our industry, in any industry, this is your number one thing. Be polarizing. I don't know if you're a note taker or not, but if you're not, just write it on a Post-it. Be polarizing. Show your personality, right? Always remember, if you're not for anyone, then you're for no one. And that was something I actually learned that years ago before I even thought about being a coach. I did it as an insurance agent. Even before I was an agent, as a salesperson, I was very transparent with people. And that always got me a lot of customers. It retained a lot of customers and it got me new ones. Get you more referrals, right? Because once you build trust in this business, and I'm not just talking coaching, I'm talking insurance. The second you build trust, you got a customer for life in most cases, unless you really screw up the relationship somehow. So it's the law of attraction, right? We've talked about that. Right? Who are you attracting? Who are you attracting? I mean, honestly, this sounds kind of brutal, but the goal to doing all this, to being polarizing, to showing your emotion, to being transparent, the goal is actually to turn people away that aren't buyers, right? That's the goal. You don't want an email list of 100,000 people and 99,900 just want to see your emails and never buy anything. Right? You want to be specifically for somebody. This right here is the beauty of coaching. All right. And this right here is why a lot of people are like, well, Joe, why are you doing this webinar? Aren't you just you're building competition for yourself? No, that's not it. We're all different. All right. So a few of you on here, that I know, Brent, Charles, Lamar, Francis, Diane, Susan, you guys are all different from each other. So you're going to attract different people than I am. And we're going to talk about more why that's important in a second. But the goal is to turn people away, right? And my list, hopefully most of my list, I would think, they're attracted to me as the person. All right. My clients buy from Joe. Even though there might be another product or another coach out there doing something similar, they buy from Joe. All right. And people struggle with this because they don't want to let people in. And I'm not saying you got to tell somebody their entire life story. I'm not saying you have to be like me and tell everybody you're in rehab, right? You don't have to go that far, but you need to do it a little bit. There has never been a single coach that's made it that has not used transparency. Not a single one. Number 3, content, and more content. And then guess what happens? Sales. All right. And now this is not a hard concept. You guys probably know that. But you always have to give somebody something extra for free or anything for free to trust you. I actually learned this lesson when I was about 8 years old. My grandpa had a deli. It was Don Davis Meats and Char Pit in small town in Appalachian, New York. And, he would tell me I'd be back there and, he didn't really worry about laws. So I was back there and I would help him at my grandpa's deli. And I noticed a couple of times, I knew how much, meat would have to be on a sandwich for lunchtime. And he'd put a little extra on. I'd be like, Grandpa, why are you doing that? That's too much. And he would know. He would say, Joey is what he called me. That's somebody that's never been in here before, right? I want to keep them as a customer, so I'm going to give them a little something extra this time so they come back. And I never forgot that lesson since I was 8 years old. You got to give them something extra, something for free. All right. A lot of the time in the internet marketing world, it's called a lead magnet. Okay. It is what it is. Also, the other thing, you have to be consistent and have variety, right? If you are just preaching the same thing, anybody that knows me, it's so funny. If you go out there and you check out coaches, they maybe have 2 or 3 products, which is good. If you go out to my stuff, I got about, 15 or 16. That's more of a me thing, but variety is good and consistency. There's a couple of facts you need to know. If you're trying to do this via social media, if you're not posting every day, you're going to get forgotten about. If you're doing email marketing, statistics show 90% of an email list forgets about you if you have not emailed them in 10 days. So you got to be consistent, right? You got to be consistent. You got to keep your messages out there for people to see. Same with videos. You go to my YouTube channel. I don't have 1 or 2 out there. I got like 50, right? You got to keep creating content. And it seems overwhelming right now, but in a second, all right, I'm going to actually show you what's going to make it a ton easier. And then obviously, and I'm mentioning it again because it's so important, you've got to be polarizing, right? In your content. And when I say content, guys, I don't mean you have to get, a huge, big, long template that you spend hours on. A simple video saying, hey, here's how you can be a positive influence in somebody's life today, right? If you can be polarizing on that, that's content. That's something. Right? This webinar today is content. So many things can be considered content. And then building your list. Everything you do, and it's all pretty much digital now, it goes into building your list. If you're giving something away, if you want somebody to watch a video, if you want somebody to download something you've created, right? You got to capture their information because you got to build a list. When I started, I didn't even have an email list. I had a few agents that I went out to, right? And I, put them on a list because I knew them. I started email. I built it from nothing. I think I might have had a 400 email list that I had accumulated over the years, right? Today I have 50,000. But always build your list. Don't get discouraged. If you don't have a big list right now, don't get frustrated by that. I started out with 400 people on a list. All right. And I had to manually input those. All right. So don't get discouraged. If you don't have a list right now, don't get discouraged. It will build over time. All right. Now, a lot of these things, if you implement them, everything can change. Trust me on that. Everything can change. And you can take these things, do the polarization, build the trust, be for somebody, create some content, get out there, right? The biggest thing that's holding you up is you not trying it, not implementing it. All right. You are all smart enough to do anything like that. All right. The reason you signed up for this webinar is because you thought probably either you saw me or you saw somebody else doing the coaching thing. And in the back of your head, you're thinking, I could do that. I want to do that. I could do that. Why couldn't I do that? Right? And you're smart enough to do it. You wouldn't be in the spot you are today if you weren't. The issue so many people run into, and I just mentioned it, is getting it done. They get scared. And not so much scared like they're afraid to put themselves out there. It's not that. They're scared it's going to take a lot of time. They're scared they're going to take a lot of money. I spent over 50 grand in training alone when I started my insurance agency. All right. A lot of money in training. And that was looking back on it. I wish I had somebody, and not to be arrogant, I wish I had somebody like me on a webinar like this because I wouldn't have had to do that. There was a lot of trial and error. All right. And this held me back. I had thought about coaching for 2 years, but I didn't press the switch, right, until October 19th, 2015. All right. Now, I hope something today has been useful. All right. There's a ton we got to cover if we really want to hammer this down. And we can't do it in this short of a span. I get complaints all the time. My webinars are too long. So I tried to make this one a little shorter, give you quick hits of information. But even if we had an entire day, we couldn't get it done. But because you guys stay to the end, like I said, I want to show you something we're going to do for the first time ever. All right. I want you to pay attention to this. And I know something is spelled wrong. I apologize. I want you to really pay attention to this. Give it a second and think about the benefit this can make. Old habits die hard. All right. A lot of the times we get on a webinar and we try to learn something new. We know we should implement it and it doesn't happen. Right. And not just in insurance, but in life. I don't want today's webinar to be that. I know I didn't try to take a lot of your time up today. Right. But still, your time is valuable. So I don't want that to happen. And I want to talk a little bit about starting coaching now as an insurance agent, why you have an advantage over me. And I put ASA and CC, Agency Sales Academy through Allstate. Allstate agents are familiar, and Contract Coach through Farmers. Back then, the reason I sold my agency was because I was given an ultimatum. They said, you can't coach and be an agent at the same time. So I sold my agency because I love coaching so much. Well, no more than 6 months after that, they changed those rules. So I'm not saying that you saying, yes, I want to become a coach means you got to sell your agency. You don't have to do that now. The rules are different. They've changed, right? So you can do both. You know, whether you want to be a coach because that's what you want to do full time and have your agency supplement it, or you want to have the coaching supplement some income, right? Maybe you're looking to sell, retire. Okay. That's why you have an advantage right now compared to 15. If I would have started this right now, I could still run my agency and do the coaching, which, hey, I would have preferred that, quite frankly, but I was not allowed to do that. So what we're doing, and check it out, it's the first time, and I'm not doing any replays of this, right? This is live. We're going to do the Underground Agency Insurance Coaching Bootcamp. Never, and I searched the internet. Internet's a big place, right? Nobody has ever done this before, specifically for insurance agents. Nobody has, right? There's a lot of coaches that teach people how to be coaches, but there's none specifically for insurance. So I was like, hey, as always, and it's always worked out for me, not always, but most of the time, try something new. It's going to be a 4-session boot camp. All right. First, we're going to get you and I. All right. We're going to start creating your first content and your first coaching product to get out there and sell. And we're going to create that free content. Session 2, we're going to talk about your first product launch, right? And your first promotion. How we're going to get it out there. Who we're going to get it to. I'm going to show you how we're going to do that in a second. All right. Session 3, we're going to talk about price points and your coaching ascension ladder, right? If you don't know what ascension ladder is, we'll really hammer it down, but it's working a client up, right? To your free stuff, to your big stuff. And we're going to develop yours in session number 3. Number 4, we're going to connect you with, if you haven't heard it before, joint venture partners, but basically people that are plugging it for you, right? Joint venture partnership. Hint, hint, I'll be your first one. All right, more on that in a second. And then the one thing, excuse me, that's probably made me the most money, I can probably attribute over 2.5 years, at least $350,000 in sales in webinars alone. And I'm going to teach you my exact perfect sales webinar formula. All right. And I didn't do it all today, but I'm going to teach it to you on session number 4. All right. So in the boot camp, in this insurance agency coaching boot camp, you're going to get all 4 sessions. All right. Now, if you go out and you look at these other coaches that are coaching other people, most of the time their programs are $5,000 to $25,000, some $100,000, a lot of money. All right. But you're going to get the 4 sessions. The other thing I'm going to do for you is you're going to get one-on-one with me, right? 6 coaching calls each step of the way. All right. Usually I charge $250 per coaching call. All right. It's going to be included in this boot camp. You're going to get 6 with me so I can develop this stuff with you. All right. I'm going to develop this stuff with you. Here's the thing that I put a $3,000 value on it. Honestly, it's probably 10 times that. But anybody that signs up for the boot camp, and we're going to get into the details in a second, you are going to get me promoting whatever we design for you to my entire network, my email list of 50,000, my social media list, and my website, right? You're not have to pay for that. I'm going to promote it for you. And I'm also, I've never done this before, going to do a co-host a joint webinar with you to get your product sold. Okay. All right. Now, a package like this, there has been packages like this out there, never specifically for insurance, but for coaches and other coaches. And a lot of the times you'll see, like I said, they'll go from $5,000 to maybe 25 to 100,000. All right. Because it's invaluable stuff. Because the reality is you can make a ton of money coaching, a ton of money, right? If you add that all up, this is super conservative, but about a little over 10 grand. All right. But today, and I'm only doing 5 spots for this coaching webinar or this coaching boot camp. I'm sorry. I'm only doing 5 spots. All right. Now, before you say yes or no to this, I want to show you a story. All right. I want to show you because here's how this all came about, right? Before you say yes or no, how this all came about is about 6 months ago. I had a client of mine come to me and he said, Joe, I love what you do. I want to be a coach. I'm willing to pay you. And he'll let me tell this now. He goes, I will pay you $5,000 to teach me how to do what you do. I'm like, all right, let's give it a shot. And so we did. That was Burke. All right. This was about 6 months ago. And we did the same exact thing. I said, here's what you got to do. I helped him map it out. Those 4 sessions, that's what I did with Burke. Obviously, on the bottom, I'm thinking you could tell which one's Burke because the other guy's Tony Robbins. Burke, his goal, he actually wanted to, he ended up selling his agency in New Jersey, moved to Florida. He's coaching full time right now. Burke was kind of the first one. And I was like, yeah, maybe we can get this done. Maybe we can do it. Now, at this point, if you go out, you'll see it. He's coachburke.com. This is his full-time job. You know, he sold his agency, and maybe you don't want to sell your agency, and that's okay. But what I'm saying is Burke took what we had. All right. He made it. He's doing it now, and he's doing awesome at it. All right. So he has his coachburke.com. He also has another site, Academy VIP. This is his monthly membership, right? Because we taught him how to do reoccurring revenue, right? How do you get residuals month in, month out? How do you do it? Right? He has that as well. He's killing it. He's absolutely killing it. Now, the one thing I did for Burke, and I debated on this, right? I decided we're going to do it because I want to make this work for you guys. Because what's going to happen is we're going to pick the 5 today, the first 5 that enroll today, and that's it. We're going to close it. And then I'm going to relaunch the same thing in the fall for $2,500 because I want to create 5 more Burkes, right? Because there's a need out there. So what I did for Burke, and I'm only doing it for the first 5 today. Listen to that. Burke, I talked to Burke about this before I did it, and he said I was nuts. After you sign up, if you're one of the 5, you're going to get access to all of my trainings, all of my templates, my presentations, my emails. All right. Not only are you going to get those, you can use them in your agency. Yeah, that's right. I just said that. You're going to be able to have every program I have out there. Every program. Everything we had to offer. You can use it for your agency. That's fine. But for this, all right, for this, you can copyright free use any of my material to create your own products. People think I'm nuts for doing this. And a $10,000 value, that's short, you know, especially the hours. Because what we're doing is expediting this process. I want this done for you in 6 weeks, right? As you can see, the value, I had a couple of choices. I could go cheap, right? Do a lot of people but not give you all this stuff, not help you one-on-one. Or just a little bit of a higher investment, but then I get to give you all this stuff. That's the other reason. Here's the secret of why I only made this a 50 registrant webinar. I didn't want to share this with 200 people. I did not want to share this with 200 people. All right. So you have 2 choices. Don't do anything. Don't take advantage of the, small investment compared to what you've spent that much money on before, and just be in the same position you are today. But think about why you came on. What were you looking for today? right? What were you looking for today? All right, I have to go and see how many spots we got left here. Because like I said, there's not a ton of people on today. The second option, take a tiny leap of faith. Think of how much you spent in aimless marketing or paid leads, right? So click the offer button to your right, get enrolled. Think about what it would be worth if you could do it for 3 months, a year, about 10 years, right? Do it forever. Or not even going that far out. Think about what you could do if this was, what would this be worth in a 6-week time frame for you? Huh? What would that be worth? Right? This is not, I'm a normal guy, everybody. I'm a wicked normal guy. I've done nothing crazy in my life. I didn't have a ton of money to start up. But that was 6 weeks. What would that 6 weeks be worth to you? The reality is there's over 900,000 licensed agency owners in the U.S. alone. It's clearly not a consumer issue, right? It's clearly not a consumer issue. It's a coach issue. It's a coach issue. There's just not enough coaches to go around. So I'm not creating competition. I'm creating partners, and I want to get it done for you. So like I said, the 4 sessions, we're going to talk about creating your content and your first product creation. We're going to go over your first product launch and promotion. We're going to develop your price points, develop your coaching ascension ladder, and we're going to connect you with other partners and myself. And we're going to also go over creating that perfect webinar. The first time we did a webinar for Burke, he made, well, I don't remember the exact amount, but it was 5 figures. Yeah. But you're going to have access not just to that, but I'm going to give you all the templates to it too. So if you see a sales page I have you like, you get access to create it on your own. It's yours, right? My emails, templates, PowerPoints, you name it. And you also have resell rights to sell my stuff and make money off of that. That's not the main thing. The main thing is creating your coaching business. Total value, $20,497. $997, only 5 spots. I got to check in here because I have to do that units manually thing. So I got to see. I think we got a couple left. All right. Yeah, we got a couple left here. Okay. And so I encourage you, honestly, at the end of the day, think about how much money you spent doing your insurance agency, right? How much money you have invested into it. All right. We're going to start the sessions Wednesday, August 1st. And like I said, when we do this again in the fall, it's going to be $2,500, but it's $997 one time. That's it. One-time cost of $997. Now, after you register within an hour, but give it 24 hours, you're going to get an email with direct access to all of my trainings, everything we have. All right. You're going to get direct access to that. So you can start going through everything. Also, in that same email, it's going to show you how to book a call with me. All right. Because I want to book a call before we release any sessions because we got to get a direction. All right. I want to help you with that. I want to help you get going with that. And then also, once you access it, start going through. See which subject matters you think speak to you so we can get a list going, right, of what templates you can use so we can quickly expedite this. I want to see each and every person that signs up for this making that $50,000 in 6 weeks. That would be amazing, right? And you can do it. All right. So click the offer button to your right, get rolling today. And you get the 4 sessions of implementation, the 6 one-on-one coaching calls. I will give you 3 promotions to my entire email list for your product. That's email, social media, and on my website. I'll co-host a webinar with you, and I'll lay out the perfect webinar formula. And then the craziest part, you get all of my trainings, everything, not just to use in your own agency, which that worth the price of admission alone, but to use the templates too. And I'll give you those templates. If you look at any of these things, the 4 sessions, that's worth the $997. The 6 coaching calls that I normally would do $250 each, $997 easily. The 3 promotions, easily $997. The joint sales webinar co-hosted with me, easily $997. I've actually been offered a couple grand, as I put there, to do that for people. The mega bonus alert, well worth $997, but you get it all for $997. All right. And I know people are starting to leave the webinar today, and I get that. All right. Because we didn't have a lot of people. So I'll hang it out there. It's not working to see how many are left. It's supposed to stop people after 5. So if you get in there and it lets you go through, then you'll be good to go. All right. Remember, guys, I'm not unique or special. All right. It literally, this is kind of embarrassing. It took me 4.5 years to get an associate's degree. A lot of that was laziness back when I was young. All right. Spent a lot of trial and error as an agent to get these things right. A lot of hours and money doing it the hard way. You know, you don't want to do that. You know, I want you part of this. I want you to be that success story that we tell people about in the fall and we're selling it for almost triple. All right. Think about why you're on, right? Why are you on this today at all? So click the offer button to your right. I'll leave this open for a few more minutes. If you have questions, let me know. All right. And let's see. I got some people. All right. So I got a couple people. Like I said, if you don't have a ton of experience in insurance, that doesn't mean you don't have something to offer. All right. It does not mean you have something to offer, because you do. You do. Somebody says, how does this compare to BGI and ASA? So BGI and ASA, what they do, and it's what I do, is they help insurance agents, right? So BGI, they develop programs for insurance agents. What we're doing, Laura, is we are showing people how to become a BGI in an ASA or a me. I'm teaching you how to coach, right? I'm teaching you how to create products to sell. The beauty of coaching is when I make a sale, I get 100% of the commission, not 10. Right? So basically, we're teaching you how to get out there in front of people, coaching you how to be a coach. Hope that answers it. All right. So if you have questions, hang on the chat bar. I'll hang out for another minute or so. Okay. Let me know if you do have any questions. Other than that, guys, I thank you for joining me. If you do have questions after this, you can always email me at joe@imwithdavis.com. All right. Anytime. And pretty responsive. Okay. Pretty responsive. But yeah, don't get caught up on the expert thing. You know, the reality is, as long as you have the desire and you feel you have some value to add to people, you can be a coach without a shadow of a doubt. All right. And like I said, you're not going to see this offer anywhere else, even close to this, to build a coaching business. One time, $997, and that's it. All right. So just to wrap up, this is what you get in the total sessions for $997. And I'll leave this up here and I'll hang tight for a little bit. Thanks, guys, for joining me so much. And for those of you that signed up, I will see you August 1st on our first session. We'll talk before then. All right. But, you know, hopefully you have a great rest of your day, and can't wait to create more people that get, you know, that 5 figures in 6 weeks, guys. Talk to you later. Bye. And I did just check for those still on the line. We got 1 spot left. We got 1 spot. I got to update it on here. All right. So like I said, we're not redoing this again. So 1 spot left. That's it out of the 5. Like I said, there wasn't a ton of people, even though there was 50 signed up. Only about 15 of you showed up. And bummer for the ones that didn't show up. They aren't going to see this again. Right. So like I said, if you have questions, let me know. But we got 1 left. All right. Talk to you later.